Good evening everyone, at Play45 here. So, the newest installment in the Legend of Zelda series, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, came out recently. So I thought I'd share my thoughts on the game. Is it good or is it bad? So first of all, this is a pretty unique Zelda game, since you play as Zelda instead of Link. I do find it a little funny that it took Nintendo this long to make a Zelda game where Zelda is the main character. And Zelda's gameplay is honestly amazing. So Zelda's gameplay is pretty different from Link's gameplay, which I like since it makes Zelda feel a lot more like her own character instead of just a copy of Link. So the gameplay in this game revolves around echoes. So if you don't know, echoes are copies of objects and enemies. So throughout the game, you can find objects and enemies that you can copy and then place down wherever you want. And the object echoes are helpful with puzzles and traversing the world. And the enemy echoes can help you fight off enemies. Also, the bed echo is definitely the best echo in the game. It can heal you if you lay in it, and it can basically get over any obstacle. You also get an ability to move objects and move with objects. And it's a good ability, there's just not really much to say about it. And you also get a sword ability, where for a small amount of time, you turn into Sword Fighter Zelda. And you pretty much play just like Link. But it drains energy when you use it. So I used it mostly just on boss fights and annoying enemies. So the gameplay in this game is amazing. I was a bit skeptical when I first saw the trailer, but the echo ability ended up being super fun. But I had to get used to the echo mechanic though, since sometimes I try to hit enemies, but then I immediately remember that I'm playing as Zelda and not Link. Now the story in this game is actually pretty good. So the game starts off with Link going to save Zelda from Ganon. But when Link defeats Ganon, a rift shows up and swallows Link. But Link was able to crack the crystal Zelda was trapped in, so Zelda breaks free and goes to Hyrule Castle. But a rift shows up in the throne room and swallows the king. Then an imposter comes out of the rift disguised as a king, and lies about Zelda opening the rift and orders the guards to throw Zelda in jail. Then in jail, Zelda meets up with Tri. Tri gives Zelda the Tri Rod that allows her to use echoes. Then she and Tri escapes the castle and goes out to mend all the rifts and find the king and Link. So that was just a brief summary of the game's story. There's a lot more to this story, of course. I just didn't want to spoil anything. And I got a bit emotional at the game's ending, but I do get emotional a bit easily. I've gotten emotional from every game I've talked about this year. I got emotional with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Astro Bot, and now Echoes of Wisdom. What's next? Will I get emotional from Super Mario Party Jamboree too? Anyways, each dungeon also has a small story you have to complete before you can go to the dungeon. And these stories are pretty cute. My favorites were definitely the Zora one, the one on Death Mountain, and the one on Hebra Mountain. Those stories were really fun to go through and also a bit heartwarming. And speaking of dungeons, let's take a look at those. So the dungeons in this game are amazing. I really like these dungeons. And I'm glad we get some more linear dungeons. Don't get me wrong, I love the openness of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But I don't think those games had very good dungeons. But Echoes of Wisdom definitely delivers in the dungeon department. These dungeons are super fun, and it's extra fun to figure out what to do with your echoes in the dungeons. These are probably some of the best Zelda dungeons I've ever played through. Although I wasn't the biggest fan of the dungeon in the fair and wetlands, since it just felt like I was walking around aimlessly, and I wouldn't say it was very confusing, but it was a little confusing sometimes. And I also didn't like the darkness in that dungeon very much. Now the boss fights in this game are really good. With most bosses, you can either find a way to use echoes against the boss, or you could just use your sword. And I think this makes the boss fights a lot better, since you have to be a bit creative with some of the boss fights. I won't spoil anything, but the last boss fight was super cool and it was really fun throughout the entire fight. Now I love this game's art style and how it looks. Yes, it's just the same art style as the Link's Awakening remake, but I'm glad we get that art style again, since I love that art style. And I think it looks even better in this game. I really like how every character and enemy looks in this game. The still world is also really great. You have to use your echoes to traverse through the still world. I just find it super fun in general to traverse using your echoes. I just remembered that I forgot to write about the world and their side quests in the script. Let me just ramble about that a bit. So yeah, the open world is really fun, and the side quests are also pretty fun. Sometimes I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get off this game after I've done the next dungeon. But then a few hours later, I hadn't done the dungeon yet, because I was just doing a bunch of side quests. Yeah, now I'm done rambling. But I do have one complaint about this game though, and that is the echo selection menu. It just takes ages to scroll through and find the echo you need. Tears of the Kingdom had the exact same issue with the fuse menu. But I just feel like it's a lot of words here since you have to use echoes all the time. This menu kind of limited my experimentation. I usually stick with the same few objects, and the same few enemies as well. Like yes, you can sort it, but I just don't think the sorting system is very good either. So overall, The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom is amazing. When the first trailer came out, I was cautiously optimistic since the gameplay was so different from the other games. But this game pleasantly surprised me. The echo ability is super fun, and this might be my favorite top-down Zelda game. The gameplay was just super fun, the story was really good, the art style is amazing, the dungeons are amazing. The game is pretty short though, but I don't think the game needed to be super long. And I don't think I encountered a single bug throughout my entire playthrough. But anyways, what did you guys think about the game? Let me know in the comments below. But I'll see you guys next time. Bye!